And we're on. Nope, don't fall over, please. Haha, victory.
Yay!
Wait, I had something that I was gonna be like. Okay, I've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Librarians Incorporated. Now, we've been talking about Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, and we talked just before this about how this book takes place in a span of 67 seconds. So how do you fill over 100 pages of a book with so little story to work with?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he does that through symbolism.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what about the smoke? For those of you who don't know, have never read the book, a bunch of ghosts get on it. Every time the ghosts get on, they start smoking.
They ask for a cigarette and they smoke, and that happens with every single ghost.
So Shemaya, what do you think that could represent?
Well, I think it always up into interpretation with symbolism, but I feel like something that it could represent would be like the clouding of judgment. Like as we said before, revenge clouds your judgment, and each time a different ghost gets on the elevator, Will's judgment there's more smoke being added, and Will's judgment is getting more and more clouded by I just have to do this. I have to do this.
And there's a really touching page where it just says right. He says in the page before, I want to know that I'm doing the right thing. And then it says right, and it has right really cleverly done by Jason Reynolds, all in a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, right, am I even doing the right thing? So yes, definitely, his judgment is getting more and more clouded. He doesn't understand what he should do.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing, let's talk about Uncle Mark. Uncle Mark was one of my favorite ghosts, and probably the one I relate to the most. He's a really silly, kind of fun guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he really likes movies in this story.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think that represents?
Well, Uncle Mark's a very tricky guy, as we've seen. He's often ridiculed for actually wanting to do these movies and all this.
Can I jump in here?
Yes.
I think the movies do a really good job of portraying Uncle Mark's desire to get out of his current circumstances.
Yeah.
People create movies to build worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is the worst book to put it in because there's not much world building.
Yeah.
But still,
It's
Uncle
all
Mark...
narrator, so...
Uncle Mark kind of has this desire to just not be where he is and bound by the same social pressures. Because he didn't follow the rules. He's one of the only ghosts that didn't follow the rules. He was just a victim of circumstance.
Yes.
And his movies are kind of like, hey guys, I want to get out this thing. But unfortunately, he never was able to. Until he became a ghost. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he's
I
doing
think they
good
can
now.
also represent, he's not as creative as he might be. He made a movie about the love story between his brother and his sister-in-law, so...
That's,
It's thought that counts.
you need context. We'll leave it there just so you read the book, but you need
Read the
context to understand what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have time for one more. What about the playground? So with Danny, that was the second ghost that got on. Her story, basically, her and Will were on a playground when they were about 8 years old, and when Danny was shot on this playground, and Will was really upset over it. So I think that the playground has a really good job of representing a loss of innocence and a loss of
Yes.
childhood. Because later he says, hey, I'm too old, or actually earlier he says, I'm too old to be at playgrounds. In other words, I don't have that innocence and childlikeness anymore.
When you think about playgrounds, you just think about children playing, the innocent children who don't know the dangers of the outside world. But at that very playground, Will witnessed someone who was important to him get shot. So that could literally be just breaking your innocence. You witness someone get murdered, which is traumatic enough, but it's at a playground somewhere where childlike innocence is just imagination is just all over the place. So.
Mm-hmm. And it really does represent the loss of innocence because right after, Will says that Sean teaches him the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And so by learning that, he becomes into his society and more of a mature adult.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that's it for now.
that's it for now. But stay tuned because we have a conclusion and a very, very nice book dedication. We can cut that part out if we need to.
Yeah. And that's the final speech.